coming without any change. Like it's caused like the frustration in the youth of Western Sahara. But also we had never lost the hope and the dream of living in a free Western Sahara. Because of despite the suffering and the obstacles that Sahrawi youth face during their growing up in an environment in which is almost impossible to live in. Like for example, now in summertime, the high temperatures could kill you. And also let us don't forget that the Sahrawi people totally depends on the humanitarian aid that the organizations give to them in order to live. Despite all of this, the will of the Sahrawi youth didn't break their determination because their determination was about all of that. Hope everything. The majority of the youth having a career because they believed that with science they could take back their freedom. Because during my study, I were not just like an ordinary students who came in to get a diploma and left. No, I was like the ambassador of my case. And so was every Sahrawi student, wherever he was. For being honest, not only the Sahrawi students were like the ambassadors. In one way or another, being a student or not, you will always find us trying to introduce from where we came from. That's and after we finish our studies, like we faced frustration again. We don't have where to use and apply our educational attainments. Here we are our perspective changed from believing that we can change or get our freedom with science. That changed after we get our diploma, yes. And we start to believe that our rights in freedom should be taken and not given. Unlike the youth of the world, the Sahrawi youth in the refugee camps, volunteers, like they didn't apply for a work or to have a salary. No, they volunteer to work in the state institutions in order to ensure the continuity of the message, the peaceful message. Also, life in the camps has been almost the same. If you may let me say that it was the same since 1991. The emissary after another and nothing changed. But I think that from 13 November 2020, everything had changed because it's like, I consider it like a changing point or a turning point in the conflict of Western Sahara and Morocco. Because after the Moroccan army entered into the demilitarized town of Guerguerat, the Sahrawi authorities responded by declaring the ceasefire agreement has been broken. Sorry. So since that, and nothing is the same anymore. Military schools were crowded by volunteers. Markets were empty, and the chance of women rising above the refugee camps. I remember that the morning, as if it is yesterday. I flipped for my phone as I used to every morning, and I shocked by the news. I had mixed feelings between joy and I don't know, anxiety, because I want my freedom back, but not like I don't want it in a bloody way. I want I want people to live, all of us, none having to sacrifice their lives, because we are in we are in a time that we could not we can we could gain our freedom without losing any lives, and that didn't happen. So 19 years of absolutely nothing is enough, I think. I think that my people had enough. Their patience is they gain nothing with their patience, because they 29, yes, 29, I think, they sign an agreement, the ceasefire, to in order to gain their freedom peacefully. But the United Nations, I think, they lied, or they played with them, thinking that they are like a nomadic people, and they don't know. Well, they don't. I think they don't
Weren't
recognize
taken serious.
Yes, they didn't take it as a serious people who cares about their land. Is also enough for the illegal exploitation for our natural resources, as many European companies did with the Morocco, like Eminence, no, Siemens. I think its name is Siemens, and others companies had agreements with the Moroccan exploiting our natural resources in the occupied zones. And from here, I ask all of you to reduce the suffer of the Sahrawi people by warning your surroundings, and as a people that believes in the people's right to self-determination, I also call on you to recognize the rights of the Sahrawi people to self-determination, because like my people, I think it is enough. 20 years of nothing is enough, I think. And the youth also are fed up. That's why now we saw the military school crowded by the youth. They had a career, they had studies to continue, but they chosen to they chosen the gun over the pen, because they had fed up of everything. Thank you. I think that's all.
Thank you, Selma. We can see that those people, well, I think everywhere, the Sahrawi are just frustrated and disappointed by the international community that has missed the chance or the right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination, which means a referendum to decide upon their destiny. And up to now, the European countries and the USA and more, also Arab countries, have not been consequent enough and even participating and enriching themselves through the Moroccan occupation, which I sent in a link in the chat, the Western Sahara Research Watch, which has made very investigations on several or many companies, European countries, German companies that are involved in the exploitation of the Western Sahara territory, which you can look upon. And maybe Mariem, if you're still present, you can tell us about the human rights situation You have already mentioned a lot of the occasions that happen where clear violations there are. Maybe you can tell us some more, and about maybe journalists, about demonstrations, what do Sahrawis face when they decide to participate?
Yeah, as I said before, that the protests and demonstrations that the Sahrawi make are all peaceful. They are only raise the Sahrawi national flag, to repeat the slogans that call for independence and for self-determination, and sometimes demand the immediate release for political prisoners. But and the Moroccan occupation forces intervene to dismantle these demonstrations by resorting to violence and detention. Human rights violations increased after the 30th of November. Now there is so many houses that are in their siege. Now Sultana Khaya's house, she's a human rights activist. She is under a house arrest for almost 7 months. And not only her, Sultana and her sister and her old mother, who is 84 years old. And they are being subjected to torture every day. Their house was invaded multiple times, and in every time the Moroccan repression forces damaged their house and steal their phones and also steal their money. And their house is being thrown by this smelly black liquid from the windows, from the door, and the outside facade, and in a try to let them run away from their house, their own house. It is a new persecution that aim to let people far away from their own houses. And also there were 3 young men who were documented. They are part of a Sahrawi association that is here in the occupied territories. They went to Bushdur, to the city where Sultana is living, and they were inside her house trying to document the human rights violations that are committed by the Moroccan occupation. Unfortunately, they were also kidnapped and tortured on the 10th of May, and tortured and finally thrown not far from Lyon, 60 kilometers from Lyon. Actually, the situation is really horrible. And there is also Mina Bali, another Sahrawi woman, another Sahrawi activist, who is now in their siege for more than 10 days. And she is our neighbor, actually. And we tried to visit her many times, but we couldn't, because all the streets that are leading to Mina's house are surrounded by the police. And 2 other activists tried to go to her house. They got beaten in the street and brutally attacked. And also Mina Bali house was invaded twice at the same night. And they used violence against her in front of her minor son, and kidnapped another human rights defender who was inside her house, and he was also thrown in the outskirts of Lyon with his torn clothes and barefoot. And also there is a wave of detentions of minors who were subjected to torture and presented to courts, and finally released released by after paying a fine. And there is also an arrestation of 3 boys, young men, who were sentenced to 1 month in jail, which affects their studies. And according to the mother of one of the boys, when she went to visit him in the jail, that he was in a very horrible situation. His face was full of blue and red bruises, and the torture and the violence is very clear on his face. And she couldn't even ask him what was going on, because the soldiers were standing and listening to this discourse between the mother and her son. Actually, the crimes that are committed by the Moroccan occupation are getting worse and worse. What makes the things very, very sad, that this total shutdown of the territory, no international journalist could enter, and no international observer or even a lawyer is allowed to enter, or even report about the human rights violations, or even interview the victim face to face. So it's very, very sad and horrible situation that increased after the assumption of war. We are only calling for an international protection for the Sahrawi civilians that are in the occupation, because we are sure that there will be more reprisals against the Sahrawi the Sahrawis in general, and Sahrawi activists specifically.
Yes, we can just assume that the more Morocco comes under pressure, which we can see in the recent news, the more they act irrational. And also a big issue in that regard, that your rights aren't protected as activists, as Sahrawi people, is that the MINURSO, one of the UN peacekeeping mission in Dakhla, I believe, has no mandate to observe human rights, which is one of the few UN peacekeeping missions that does not have the mandate to observe human rights, and that is mainly due to the blockade of France in the Security Council. France, that is known for its human rights, or which argues or says that it birthed human rights, is supporting indirectly or directly even the human rights violations of Sahrawi people in the occupied zone. So thank you very much, Mariem. And with this heard, we having heard the human rights violations and the oppression that you face on a day-to-day basis, which is just increasing. And then we also have in the refugee camps those people that have been waiting for a solution, living in very inhumane ways without a perspective of careers, of individual self-determination, which the Sahrawi people should have. The big question is what do we expect from the international community? What do we expect from Spain, from the European Union, from the USA to advance the Sahrawi cause? Maybe Taleb, you can tell us more about that.
Yeah, I just want to say about something you said before about the frustration that we feel as Sahrawis. So I think wherever you look, any side of this conflict is worse than the other. Because if we look at the refugee camps, or the people in the refugee camps, they are just waiting for more than 46 years in a very hard conditions and fighting the hard conditions of the nature of the desert. If we look to the other side, as Mariem said, in the occupied territories, there is the daily violation of human rights watch, and there is no one can like observe this human rights violation. As you said, MINURSO is the only mission of United Nations in the world that cannot observe the human rights violations. So that is not the only case, because even independent organization of human rights defenders like Human Rights Watch or Amnesty, they cannot go to the occupied territories of Western Sahara. In many times they try to go inside of the territories of Western Sahara, and Morocco couldn't let anyone go to that part. So for us, it's very frustrating, because wherever we look, is worse than the other part. And I live in Spain, and I have like a Spanish friend. So when we talk about the problems in the world, and I ask them about the Berlin Wall, for them it's like something that happens in the Second World War, and it's impossible to happen now. So when I tell them about Western Sahara, and I tell them, okay, the most longer wall, military wall in the world is in my country. Morocco has like now a wall with more than 9 million of means. So for people that is incredible, but for us it's very frustrating, because nobody talk about us. When we look at the media, they talk about many things. They talk sometimes about stupid things, but nobody talk about the human rights violation in Western Sahara. Nobody talk about the war that we have in Western Sahara. Nobody talk about the suffering in the refugee camps. So for us it's very frustrating, because from here, from Spain or from Germany, or from any other country, we cannot do anything to change this situation, but also we have to fight against the people who doesn't know anything about Western Sahara. Because when you say, I'm from Western Sahara, they say, oh, desert, camels, that's cool. So that is very sad for us. And as we hear here from the refugee camps and from the occupied territories, the situation is a very difficult situation, and the suffering it's in each side.
Yes, thank you very much.
And just one thing I forgot to say, that also when we look at the political work, like the international political, how it works, we see always that the economic agreements wins the justice causes. And the best example, it was Trump's done, because I think everyone's see how Trump's recognized that Western Sahara, it's a part of Morocco. And as I said, okay, Trump can do that, but with Texas, Trump can say, okay, I recognize that Texas is part of Morocco, but he cannot say that about Western Sahara. It's just completely illegal, because that's a direct attack against the international law, because the international law and the United Nations says that Western Sahara is the last colony in Africa. So not even Trump or United States or any country in the world can recognize the sovereignty of Morocco to Western Sahara. So it's very sad also to see that the economic agreements, because it was, as we all know, it was like behind behind Trump's recognition of Morocco, of Western Sahara as part of Morocco. It was an agreement with Israel, and it was like an economic and political agreement. So it's very sad also to see that even the country who said that they defend the peace in the world, and they defend the rights of the people everywhere, they sentence that people to live under a very hard occupation.
Yes, thank you very much. Maybe you could say, tell us which steps need to be taken to fulfill the self-determination right of the Sahrawi people. What do the politicians now have to do to fulfill the UN Freedom Plan?
I think as we all know, we are in a war now. The war starts again in Western Sahara after 30 years, because over 30 years we were waiting a solution, and nobody, it's like we were forgotten. And now the war came again to Western Sahara. And I don't think that the solution will come from the war, because the war never gives a solution. But it's very sad to say that, but the war now, it's the only thing that make world look at you. I think when we decide to go back to war against Morocco, it's just to make the international community take seriously the Western Sahara conflict and try to give a solution. I think the only possible solution to Western Sahara conflict is a referendum, where when people from Western Sahara can decide if they want to be part of Morocco, if they want to be an independent country, or if they want to be like a Spanish, territory. It's like, that is very easy. But as we see in these last 30 years, Morocco was like blocking this referendum. And now, and at the end, I would just like to send a message to the Sahrawi young people, to the people who support our cause, and the people who believe in justice, that we all should work hard more than ever to let people know, to give some pressure to the political people to work in the way that we can have a referendum in Western Sahara, because of course nobody loves war, and of course we know that this war will means a lot of death, not just for Sahrawi people, even for Moroccan people. So I think our work now should be to give some pressure, not just to the Spanish government to start the process of decolonization in Western Sahara. Everywhere, I think we have to work to make political people work in the way that people of Western Sahara can live in peace and in a free Western Sahara.
Thank you, Taleb. And maybe to end this panel before we start with the Q&A session with a positive note and a very motivating note, each of you can say how you envision your home country when we have obtained our independence. What do you imagine your country to be like? How you want to contribute to the development of a new state? Maybe Selma, you can start.
I think that when we return to a free Western Sahara, we have institution here in the camps. We have like everything. We just need to move from the refugee camps to the Western Sahara. We can. I think that we will settle easily there. I think everything will be easy because we have everything, like everything here: hospitals, institutions, schools, high schools, everything. I think, and that will be like make it easy for us to settle in there.
Thank you. Mariem? Your microphone.
Yeah, what's the question was? I'm sorry.
How do you envision your home country when it obtains its independence?
After the independence?
Yes, and what you want to do, how you imagine it? Yeah,
the first thing, a democratic state. Democracy is the solution of everything. It is the way that helps each individual and each civilian to live in peace, to express his own thoughts and ideas and opinions freely, as long as there is peace and no one is targeted. So the first thing is democracy, and the second thing is development, a developed country that its civilians love and would love to work for it, and would love to see it as one of the successful and comfortable states to live in, and a state that supports the others' right to the other countries' right to self-determination, and a country that prefer to justice than, economic profit.
Thank you, Mariem. Taleb?
So at the beginning, I would like that it will be the best day of my life. So I think that that day will means the end of many years of suffering of our people, and also will means that the world is a little bit more beautiful because there is justice. So I think that something beautiful happened after all this drama, and that is the refugee and the war and the conflict in Western Sahara make a lot of people go to another countries. It's like go to Cuba to study like for many years, go to Germany, go to Spain. So that along the years make us have like the personality of that country. I mean, we are Sahrawis, but I'm also Spanish. I am Sahrawi, but I'm also Cuban, of the people who study in Cuba, or the people who study Libya or in Algeria or in Germany or in United Kingdom. So I think after the independence, when all these people go back, we will have like a very beautiful society, very cosmopolitan society. And I think with different ideas, with different language, with different visions of the world and of life, with different philosophy to understand life. And I think it will be something very beautiful. And I think we will be different than all the Arabic and Muslim countries. We will be different than all the African countries, not just because we are Sahrawis and I'm saying, oh, of course we are the best. No, I think because we are coming from different parts of the world and we are like giving or taking with us the best of each country. So I think it will be something very special and something very different that anything we have seen before. So yeah, I just hope that we can see that day, and I'm sure if we keep this way of fighting, we will see it soon.
Thank you. Oh, I think you spoke from the heart of every Sahrawi person. And now we open the panel to questions. Already in the chat, there have been several. I think the first one is directed to Mariem. So you studied in a Moroccan university. Could you please talk or speak about Sahrawi students in Moroccan universities and your own experience, the fact that there are no universities in the occupied territories?
Yes, despite the Moroccan occupation, the Moroccan occupation existence in Western Sahara for over than 40 years, Morocco hasn't built any university in here, so we are obliged to travel to Morocco to continue our studies, which is not. I am one of people who are privileged, to go there to continue their studies, but there are impoverished family, and poverty is a consequence of occupation, of course, who are not able to go there and to continue their studies. And also there are some traditional families that would not allow their girls to go there. I was able to go there and to be a student in the Moroccan university, where you are discriminated by people in the streets. Whenever they saw you wearing the malfa, they will call you, oh, Sahara is Moroccan. Sahara is Moroccan. Look at me. Yeah. I mean, a lot of provokes that. Sometimes I am. I have no problem. I wouldn't react, but sometimes it's over me. It's a lot. And add to that the Moroccans refuse to rent their houses for us because we are Sahrawis, and some professors are discriminators. They discriminate the Sahrawis, so we have to wear outfits and not malfas, so as to look like a Moroccan student. And there is and you don't know if you will come back to your own land, or you will be killed by other aggressive groups of students who hate the Sahrawis and hates seeing them expressing their right to self-determination. Or you can be a prisoner, like a political prisoner, like what is happening now with the group of students who were detained with fake charges, and now they are serving 10 years in jail. They were activists at the university, and they were great ambassadors of their issue, and now they are in jail serving 10 years only because of their political beliefs. And let me say that this strategy of fake charges has been taking place now also after the 13th of November. They can, I mean, there is no legal law that give the Moroccans the authority to put you in jail because of your beliefs or your demands. So they fake charges to you and put you in jail. And after you finish your studies and you came back here, you are 100% unemployed. There is no job opportunities, and all the job opportunities go to the Moroccan settlers, and so no, didn't go to the Sahrawi civilians, and especially Sahrawi activists are prohibited from having jobs.
Thank you, Mariem. There was another question, maybe you can answer it, Selma. Would it be possible to tell more about the current social and economic situation in the refugee camps, and what refugees do to improve their current situations, or what is even possible in that regard?
Hi, I think the economic here is based mainly to the marketing, like they say, they sell and buy things to improve their economic situation here. It's also it's
Selma, we can't hear you or see you. Okay, now again, we can see you again.
And now?
Yes, now.
Thank you. I was telling that the Sahrawi our main like economic situation is based only on the marketing, not the marketing. They buy and sell stuffs. Economic here is like we don't have the base. We don't have like resources. We don't have. It's like you can't speak about economics in a desert. There is only exchanging. It's not economic. We can't name it like economic. It's like an exchange. People bring things from Mauritania, Algeria, Spain, even Spain, Europe, and sell it here to the citizens, and the citizens by themselves also sells between each other. It's not like economic. We can't name it like economic. There is no economic here in the camps. Seriously speaking.
Thank you. And we have a question also against Mariem. What Sahrawis who live within Morocco think about the Western Sahara?
Repeat, please. What the
Sahrawis that are living in Morocco, do they identify Sahrawis or do they identify as Moroccan? How's that?
The Sahrawis that are living in Morocco?
Yes.
Yes, they are. They have the Sahrawi identity, but I mean, their political belief it differ from one person to another.
Okay, thank you. And then also maybe to all of you, how if when Western Sahara gains its independence, how one can make it possible to have a coexistence between Moroccan settlers that have been there now for years and Sahrawi who are returning and have stayed there. And how do you envision this for the future? Anyone can answer.
Okay, Taleb,
okay, Mariem, maybe you can, or the tower, yeah.
I think Mariem is more allowed than me because she are in the occupied territories to talk about that question.
Yeah. So you repeat the question, please. Yeah.
How when Western Sahara gains its independence, we have still the Moroccan settlers in the territory. How do you imagine the coexistence between Sahrawi and Moroccan settlers?
I think that after independence, the Moroccan settlers will become a foreign person who is living in your country, like you, Emma, like Taleb, like other people who are in diaspora. So we are okay with that. We have no problem with that as long as they are peaceful and respecting respecting their existence there. And I would like and stress to this that we have no problem with Moroccans. We have the problems with the Moroccan regime, with the Moroccan occupation, and with the Moroccan forces. Now I have Moroccan friends who are nice and friendly, but there are also Moroccan settlers who are aggressive and who are brutal, and so what I'm trying to say is that the real problem is with the occupation, with the Moroccan regime.
Okay, thank you very much. And we also have a question by Isabel. You can open your microphone.
Yes, hello to everyone. So I'm following the Western Sahara conflict almost for 2 decades now, and especially the situation of the political prisoners and of children. And I noticed a big difference, the biggest difference for me between the refugee camps and the occupied territories, and so this is for Selma and for Mariem, is the way children feel. Because in the report I made about children that I made for 5 years, and Mariem was so nice to help me several times, children in the occupied territories live and are born into violence, not in their own homes by their parents, but from the outside. And when I say violence, it doesn't mean that they are attacked individually, but they assist, they are a witness, and they feel the violence. Even the violence, for instance, of having to sing the Moroccan anthem, not to be allowed to draw their Sahrawi flag, and to see Moroccan flags all over, and being told by their own teachers that they are worthless, that they are stupid, that they will never arrive to have a job, which is true, because even if they're the smartest one, they will not have a job. So I was very shocked the first time I heard, it wasn't Mariem, but it was another friend of mine, who said the first time he's from the occupied territories and visited the camps. And he said, for the first time in my life, I felt free. So I was totally shocked because, as you heard from Selma, the refugee camps, you don't have any perspective. It's like one day is like the other day, like the other day. It's like looking into nothing. So you don't have any perspective. But even so, this young man told me it was the first time I felt free. So I would like to ask Mariem how she felt the first time she was in the camps, not from the point of view of the family reunion, but from the atmosphere. And also, I would like to hear from Selma what she thinks about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel, for your question. Yeah, we always say here in the occupied territories that in the refugee camps that you have bad weather and lack of difficulties in the circumstances, in life circumstances, and a lot of other obstacles, but you have freedom. We always, when we watch the conferences on the TV and we see the Sahrawi flags on the TV, we feel very, very, very happy and wish and very free. And we hope that we were there just to feel that feeling of being free. And my first visit to the camps, there were a big saal where they make conferences in Dakhla camp, and there were a lot of flags, like about 5 flags and 5 flags, and I was all the time standing in front of the saal before the conference started and started to look at the flags. I mean, seeing the flags around you, seeing the Sahrawi army and the Sahrawis, only Sahrawis, make us feel free and like we are independent, although we are on the Algerian lands. And I think that freedom is more important than the wealth, is more important than good life circumstances. Yeah.
I think the other question was directed to Selma. Yeah.
I think that why the friends felt free in the refugee camps is because she finally could express her love to her like country without fearing the Moroccan army or the Moroccan to shut up her and to do violence on her, because here all the she could be like between her people, fearing nothing. Also, what Mariem said about the flags, we are in the Algerian desert, but here the camps here are called the camps of dignity, because they choose the desert and the harsh environment over being there, like being tortured by the Moroccan police and everyone who want to take their land from them. I don't by that I don't mean that the people there are not dignity or not, but here the camps are called the camps of dignity. So the people here like can express or can live freely.
I think we lost Selma. Selma, can you hear us? Okay, we will then continue. Another question is, I don't know who can answer this, but how many Moroccan settlers live in the occupied territories? Are there exact numbers? And when there will be a referendum, do you see a danger if Moroccan settlers participate in the voting, or who may participate in the voting? The people from diaspora, from the refugee camps, from the occupied zone. So any of you two can answer the question.
I think that is the big deal that Morocco used to stop any try of the United Nations to make a referendum in Western Sahara. So Morocco always said, Morocco signs that they accept the referendum. So that referendum was like, the plan of the referendum was like, the people who have right to vote in that referendum was clear, because Spain before left Western Sahara was like preparing a referendum to decolonize the territory of Western Sahara. So there was a list of Sahrawi people that Spain have already done, of the people who live in Western Sahara and the people who have the right to vote in that referendum. So in that agreement signed by Frente Polisario and Morocco to make the referendum, was one point of the agreement that the people who have the right is the people who are in the Spanish list or are the sons of these people. For example, if my grandfather, my dad, or my mom are in that list, I can vote also. So that was the agreement. But after that, after when Morocco signed that, they accept that, and the United Nations MINURSO start to prepare this referendum, and they said, okay, in 9 months it will be done and people can vote and this problem will be resolved. So Morocco said, no, stop. Also, I want that the Moroccan people who are living in the occupied territories of Western Sahara, they vote. And of course, that is impossible, because the Moroccan people who came to Western Sahara after the occupation are much more than all the population of Western Sahara. So that was like impossible. So we as a Sahrawis and we as a Frente Polisario, we didn't accept that. Of course, we didn't accept that that proportion of Morocco, and I think it's Morocco just tried to block any way to make that referendum, and that's why they start to talk about who have right or not have right to vote in that referendum.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe one big important question. Oh, Mariem, yes, you want to add?
Yeah, just want to add to Taleb, to what Taleb said, that in 1991, Morocco brought a lot of settlers to the occupied territories to manipulate the referendum. And now I think that there is no exact number of settlers in Western Sahara, but they are the triplets of the Sahrawis.
Okay, thank you very much for putting that into perspective. One very important question, as activists you all are, is how can we help highlight your freedom struggle, particularly amongst other oppressed groups, to strengthen the solidarity for another? And in general, what do you expect from those listening to help the Sahrawi cause? Maybe Taleb, because you need to leave soon, you can.
Yes, I just want to answer this question for anyone who asking how can help Sahrawi people, or how can help in this case, or how can they help to resolve this conflict. I think the best way, and anything, I mean something very easy that everyone can do, is to talk to his friends, to talk to his family, to talk in his university, in his college about this conflict, and also to use the social media to talk about this conflict. And I think people help people, because unfortunately we didn't have any support from the political people or from the international community, but we are waiting, and we are supported by a lot of people in many different countries. So I think everyone can help, want to help the people of Western Sahara, just to saying to everyone, to organizing conferences in the universities, college, or any organization that they can do it and talk about the Western Sahara conflict, talk about the political prisoners, talk about the violation of human rights and also talk about the most important thing I think we are living now, the war in Western Sahara, because nobody is talking that in Western Sahara there is a war now. And I think the most important thing is that to be in contact with the Sahrawi people, to organize like trips to refugee camps, to see this reality, not just in your phone or not just in the news or in some documentary. So try to organize trips from many countries, from different countries, to see the refugee camps, and also try to go to the occupied territories. I know that is something very hard, but they can try it, just to present the Moroccan occupation. And at the end, just thank you to everyone who was here. Thank you to hear us, and see you soon in a free Western Sahara.
Inshallah. Thank you, Taleb. Adding to this, yes, Mariem?
Yeah, I just as a question, as an answer to the question raised about how other people can help the oppressed Sahrawis. I think that raising awareness about you can make change through the governments. So every one should raise awareness about the case among youth, among his family, among people in general, so as and work on the civil society, so as to convince them and to raise awareness about the Sahrawi issue. And with time and year after year, it takes years, so that it could make pressure on governments, and that will affect the Sahrawi issue.
Thank you very much. Adding to this, Senia Bashir made also a very valuable contribution how to help. I will just read it out. Let us all agree that colonialism does not have to be have place in today's world. So it's our collective responsibility to eradicate it once for all, especially in Western Sahara. So I urge you to start with informing yourself to the closest about what you learned today in the session, and also furthermore. First, to use your social media platform to amplify and share Sahrawi voices and stories. And you can also educate other people at your school and workplace. Later on, I will share the social medias of or contact networks of Sahrawi youth organizations that where you can inform yourself or be part of the resistance. Okay, and another point, what liberation of East Timor and the fall of apartheid regime have taught us, that the mass mobilization holds the solution. Go start support groups in your countries or join those that already exist. Write to your parliamentarians and ask them tough questions on the government's position on Africa's last colony, Western Sahara. Thirdly, help us remove the media blackout in the occupied territories and support Sahrawi groups like Equipe Media and Nushata Foundation to expose human rights violations committed by Morocco, and especially write your politicians and parliamentarians. Actually, we wanted to end the conference at this point, but if Mariem and Selma still have time, we could proceed with other questions that were still asked in the chat. Is that fine by you two? Selma and Mariem? Okay, amazing. So one question is by Judith, and thank you for this insightful event. My question goes to all three, now two speakers. What characterizes and distinguishes the new generation of Sahrawi young adults compared to the older generations? What potential do you have to affect change?
I think that now that this generation use social media to raise awareness about the case and about the Sahrawi issue, and to expose the Moroccan violations of human rights, and also to mobilize people. I mean, to let them know about the protests and the demonstrations and things like this. And I think that's the only difference between the previous generation and this generation.
Thank you. Selma, you want to contribute as well?
I had a problem with the network here because I'm in the camps now. So I think that what differs the new generation is like it's a new generation that believes only in a free land. They won't accept anything but a free land, and they they are more educated to share awareness about their case in everywhere. And also they have our ancients, like they were like nomads. They were living a nomadic life, but the new generation does not believe only in the that we have to like take our right by force, but also they believe in the peace. Because we are like in an era that believes in the peace, and they also can.
Okay, it seems like we've lost Selma again. Hopefully she can return soon. We will then continue. So the other question would be regarding the refugee camps that you probably cannot answer directly, Mariem, but if you have some last words you want to, or last message you want to contribute, now you have the floor.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you for everyone that takes time to see and watch and contribute in this webinar. Thank you, Emma and Hamdi and other organizers of this event. Thank you for giving us the chance to express what we feel and what we want. Because it's all stays in here. We have no place to express our opinion, because expressing your opinions means that you will get tortured or get oppressed in the occupied territories. Finally, thank you all, and I hope that we can get our independence in soon and be free. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mariem. Selma, you want to finish off what you said and maybe some last remarks?
I didn't know where I lost. I think that it's a new generation that believes in peace before it's cutting again. I think, yes, it's a new generation that believes in peace.
And hopefully with peace we will obtain our independence and self-determination rights. So thank you both for taking the time and sharing your experiences and letting us know. And thank you for your struggle in the refugee camps and then the occupied zone to support the Sahrawi cause. I think we all very much are glad for your work, and also you are just like idols for us. So we hope to see you continue to thrive, and hopefully soon in a free Western Sahara, where you can choose your to determine your future and also be part of changing your country in how you wanted to have, just like our parents wanted us and our grandparents. And yes, so thank you also to the audience for participating and taking the time to hear about the Sahrawi cause. We have shared many possible sources and ways to support the Sahrawi people in the occupied zone, the refugee camp, and the freedom struggle. And we hope that you continue strive our words outside of this Zoom as well. And thank you also to Sahrawi Diaspora for organizing this event. And hereby I would close the panel and the event. Thank you all for participating, and we hope to see you in future helping the freedom cause. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, Emma. It was amazing. Good job.
Thank you, Berkan.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Mariem, if people want to contact you, is there any possible way?
Yeah. All right.
Maybe yes. If
Facebook?
you Facebook, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you can type it in the chat for those that want to hear more about you.
Yes, I wrote it in a comment.
Amazing.
In a chat. Yes.
Oh my God,